Hey everybody, welcome to another episode. On the show this week, you've got Mark Cowell, Rob Strachan, Mark Navarro, and myself giving you our best HBO drama. We asked 4 simple questions when we made our picks. We wanted to know if production cost had anything to do with it. Writer-director, did they have anything to do with it? Is that why it's so awesome? Was it strictly the casting that had to do with why you love this show so much? Or is it just how it makes you feel, the overall impression you get? Do you carry it into your everyday life? Do you quote it a lot? Do you put it on a t-shirt? Do you constantly talk to people about it and go down rabbit holes? How does it affect your real everyday life? So we've got 4 picks for you for drama. Then we end the show with 4 picks with comedy. That's what you're going to hear this week, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to continue this series. We're going to do Prime. We're going to do Disney+. We're going to do HBO. And we're going to do Netflix. And we're going to bounce around until we've chewed through everything that's humanly possible to watch right now. No news is good news. We've got no live dates coming up yet. We're still kind of playing with this 4th wave of COVID, as is everybody else. So when we know, you'll know. As for that, all the OGs, all the original listeners, you can head on into the proverbial theater, so to speak. Show's about to begin. For you new people who've pressed play for the first time, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, the ones that rolled the dice and said, who are these guys with the weird logo? Thank you so much for listening. If you want to support the show, the easiest way to do so is just to subscribe when you're done. Go to your podcast player, hit subscribe. We'll show up each week. The work is done. Thank you for doing that. But if you want to push it just a little bit further and you've got some couch cushion change kicking around or you need a new hoodie, we've got a prop shop. We've got a donation tab. All the money that you throw at us, be it a way of a t-shirt or a donation, goes back into production costs. The labor of love requires a little bit of bucks to do it. We get to blame you in the end if you decide to donate some money to our cause. And if you do, there's a tier system there. So go check it out. Hit the tab. $1, $3, and $5 max. That's it. No more than $5. We won't accept it. We'll give it back to you because you're crazy. That's it. That's all. Oh, the top 10. So if this is your first time and you've never listened to the show before, we like to thank you guys for doing all the heavy lifting, to say, you know what? Hey, we recognize you. We see you because we see these little download spikes happen all the time. So without any further ado, Rio Rancho coming in at number 10, Washington, Null, San Jose, Smithers, British Columbia, Vancouver, British Columbia, Concord, North Carolina, Boardman, and then the top 2 spots as always, because Winnipeg just can't get enough of us, Winnipeg, Manitoba. Again, we love it when you listen, but these are just the places that are standing around a water cooler or sending a link to their friends to be like, listen to these fucking assholes, they're funny. So either way, we thank you. I got nothing else. I'll cue the reel. You enjoy the show.
Let's tidy up this tangle of film by putting it on a reel. Here is a motion picture film, 1,000 feet, 16,000 separate photographs.
Welcome, everybody, to the official space section of the chart.
The truth! You can't handle the truth!
I've come up with 4 ways to measure what we're doing. I want to let everybody know what our measuring stick here is. First things first, we're going to be talking about...
The Jeff Bezos rocket.
Yes, exactly. How many Jeff Bezos rockets?
How
does
many
this
Jeff Bezos fully erect phallic-shaped rockets does this get?
Filled to the brim with fuel. Filled to the brim.
So
From 6 to 12.
Okay, what's your scale? What's your measurements here?
my measurements are how well were you? How invested were you in the characters?
Okay.
Okay.
How invested were you in the story?
Okay.
The production value all around.
Okay.
Okay.
And the casting.
Okay.
Okay.
Those are our 4 choices. This is how we're going to measure our picks. Now, ladies and gentlemen,
Can you repeat that one more time for
sure,
me?
I can. I can tell you it is how invested in the characters were you?
Okay.
How invested in the story were you?
Okay.
Production value, casting. Don't ask me to do it again. It's already left.
Okay.
All right.
I got it.
So you can't just pick
Characters, story, production, casting.
one. Exactly.
I got it.
Character, story, production, casting. Now it's a dance. So that's what we're going to do. And you can't just pick one. So we're doing our favorite. We're going to do a actual segment on HBO drama. And then our next thing, whether it's another hour-long show, whether it's a half hour, whatever, comedy, documentary, whatever, what have you, we're gonna go through too, and we're gonna quiz those and see
The
where they come.
lighter side of HBO. if you
Exactly,
will.
yeah, because HBO is
Ah,
I think
like that.
predominantly known for drama, like comedy's their secondary, but they do great comedy.
Are they now?
Well, I think it's equal now. I definitely think it's almost.
They
a
were known for
50-50
stand-up for
split.
the longest time. It was boxing and stand-up to start.
We're talking about this. What's the first HBO show that you remember?
Sopranos.
Oz.
That
I remember watching that as a high school kid.
was
I was like,
It was HBO.
Oz was HBO.
Yeah, so early HBO.
It just HBO wasn't available in Canada at the time, so I think it was
We
on
got it on,
Showcase.
like-
Showcase. You have to watch it on Showcase.
But yeah, they produced it. Sopranos too was my first one.
There was this show called Dream On, half-hour sitcom from like way back in the day when it used to be on like First Choice, which like the old movie channel. And it was about a dude that was basically raised on TV, and it interjected like TV lines in his regular life. And it was just a dude like growing up, bad relationships, everything else, but it was referenced back to old TV shows that were even before that. Look it up. It's good. Worth the watch.
I'm going to look.
Nobody that you would even recognize.
Really?
What year? Mark, do you remember?
Oh, God. Like 90s, 80s? Like way the fuck back.
Dream On.
I just have Aerosmith's song
That's
repeating
exactly
in my
what
head
came
right
out
now.
of
And you know the HBO, how it starts at the beginning where it kind of, the fuzzy screen and it goes like whatever TV turning on? That was from Dream On basically originally.
Oh, I remember this show. Yeah. I'm not like 100% familiar with it, but like, there you go. Look at there's your cast. Like it looks like I've seen it. Like I've seen it around, but I don't
Yes.
remember watching it.
What year did it say it was?
Looks like an 89,
Like it's
87.
way the fuck back.
90.
1990 first episode.
Marta Kaufman, David Crane, Kevin S. Bright, John Landis, Jeff Greenstein.
Perfect.
writers.
Can we discuss what we want to talk about?
Yes, we
'Kay.
totally can.
Do you want to go first, Rob?
I feel he wants to. Rob, you get to go first. So
I
tell
get to go
us-
first
yeah,
today?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
you're going to present.
Mhm,
You're going to tell us why.
mhm,
Like, and we're just going to shoot the shit and compare
Yeah,
all these
yeah,
things, and then we're going to measure it.
So, and I just want to say this collectively, disclaimer out there to all of our listeners. I know some of you are going to be like, I can't believe you didn't fucking choose this one.
Yeah.
These are just the 4 that we decided to go with. There is other dramas out there on HBO that are phenomenal. These are just the 4 that we decided to go with.
Exactly.
There's for sure a couple that could have been
Oh, absolutely.
just as easily.
Oh, absolutely. There's only 4 of us on the discussion
Yeah.
today, and there's just so much goodness out there with HBO that we had to choose something.
Exactly. Great point. This is our best, but it's not the best.
No, not necessarily, because
Yeah.
everyone likes different genres a little bit more, or different themes, and that's the beauty of HBO is that they're very open with the content that they'll basically explore. So what I chose was arguably the greatest cop show of all fucking time.
Agreed.
After
It
the
is
Shield.
fuck you. Get the fuck out of here. It is so good, in fact,
Commissioner.
that since I watched it years ago, anytime I watch any other cop drama, I start watching it and I just fucking turn it off because it's not The fucking Wire.
So,
Pure and simple.
first of all, premise of the story. Give us a quick synopsis.
It is basically the story of it starts off, season 1 is really talking about cops and gangsters. It takes place in Baltimore, Maryland, which is
Ravens suck.
Baltimore's known for having very high crime and those types of things. And the greatest thing about this show is it was the first time where a drama really delved in and kind of explored it from both sides so well, and how those two worlds are intersecting, but like the characters actually don't meet very often, but they know so much about each other, and the varying levels of storylines that all intertwine and work together. And you've got that first season, McNulty, and they really explore his character. And the thing about The Wire is the first 3 episodes aren't that easy to watch.
No.
It takes till about episode 4 or 5, and then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, what the fuck? I am now truly invested in these characters. But it takes that few hours to get into it. And that's why there's a lot of people that they've just heard that The Wire is so good, but they've never given it that college try, because there is that little bit of that hurdle for entry. And I respect the creators for that, because they were almost trying to say, you're not fucking good enough to deserve watching our fucking awesome
Ooh.
show. We're actually going to put you off a little bit the first couple episodes and not have some dangling carrot. We're going to make you, work to deserve how good the payoff of this show is.
Strokes,
That's right.
None of this quick
But-
and dirty shit.
But the other great thing is you've got 5 different seasons that each come to a finale that is so perfect each time.
Yes.
And each episode brings in more characters and at a new level, right? In the second season, you brings in, the Greek mafia and the longshoremen and the corruption of that. And then you go into the third season, and Avon.
City Hall is the third season. If it's
That's where City Hall starts coming on, and Avon gets out of prison, and then he ends up betraying Stringer Bell, and Stringer Bell is still like one of the greatest fucking villains ever in a fucking cop show.
Easily.
Then you go into season 4, and season 4 starts delving into the public school system and how that interrelates to the cops and crime and this and that. And then finally with season 5, they bring in the newspaper facet of it. So you're examining all these different things that work into the police state, or whatever you want to refer to it as.
I think the main protagonist is heroin. If you really get down to
That's
it.
a good way to look at it, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because everybody's doing something for that money.
Mm-hmm.
And that money either in drug form, city hall politics, newspapers, journalism, what have you. And
I want to be the commissioner. I want to be this. I want to become mayor, and basically manipulating all this stuff around. And that's why the writers did such a phenomenal job. And I can't remember the guy who wrote The Wire. It's eluding me right now. If you want to look it up on IMDb.
David E. Kelly?
No, that's Sex and the City, dude.
David Simon, sorry. My
David
bad.
Simons.
My favorite HBO.
Are you a Carrie or are you Samantha? But he was a reporter for years, and that's why he had this inside look at a lot of this stuff, because I think he was like a city hall and a crime reporter for I don't know, I believe it was actually in Baltimore, but don't quote me on that.
I will. Here's what I can tell you. He did go on actual wiretaps, and it took them over a year to get ready to write the show.
Yeah.
Not because, to his point, and Martin, you can probably back us up on this too. You've seen The Wire too, right, Mark?
I have not.
Okay, so this will be.
So I'm going to give you. Let me give you 20 seconds of
Yeah.
my feeling on The Wire, because I can't really contribute much else. I know it's an amazing show. I've heard from so many people, and I've known for a long time that I want to watch it. But the reason that I haven't started is that I feel as though I need to give it the time that it deserves, you said. So I don't want to casually start watching it when I know I don't have the time to commit to the seasons and get into it.
It's the kind of show where you actually you need to put your phone away.
You have to pay attention.
Because if you don't pay attention, there's so many characters. It's like Game of Thrones in a lot of respects.
Yeah, it
because
is.
Game of Thrones has a lot of characters. There's a lot of nuance, and there's the same thing with that in The Wire, that your phone needs to be put away.
And that's what I realized that, and I it's so high on my list, but it's not I'm not doing anything this Sunday. What am I going to watch? Like, I really need to commit to it.
It's also 5 seasons. And,
Yeah, that's a lot of commitment.
50 episodes, right?
Yeah, 13 per season.
13 a season? Yeah.
Like back when HBO actually,
That's
had
a
long
lot
seasons.
of TV.
That's
It's a lot, man. And they're hour-long episodes each, right, I think?
Oh yeah,
I
hour 2, I think, on a lot of them.
I called Martin a couple of weeks ago and was like, "Are you watching The Wire? Because I'm trying to watch The Wire, and I think we're overlapping our episodes on our Crave account." And was like, "I thought I watched that episode. No, it went too long. I must have fallen asleep." But Martin, how many times have you watched this?
Just once. I watched it once, and I'll say this about The Wire. I love The Wire. It's a great series. When Rob was talking about, like, it's probably the best cop drama, what got me into The Wire was episode 1. I was hooked from the quote, "The king stays the king." Like, the king stays the king is such a fucking brilliant. I'm a sucker for good quotes, and that's a great quote. And I've always, like, for me, The Wire, the best parts about it has always been the criminal aspect, just because I'm a big fan of the gangster genre. So just seeing that side of the pond, I guess, and seeing how that develops and what goes on with that, I thought that's what sold me.
Well, we learned so many terms. Like I didn't know what a burner was until I watched The Wire, right? Like it's just, and it delved into facets of that newer technology at the time that really was captivating for a lot of people. And like, who doesn't fucking love Omar? Like, fucking, that guy's such a fucking gangster. He's robbing the gangsters.
All right, yeah, let's get into characters in this because anybody
Stringer Bell,
Bell,
fucking Omar McNulty is just the fucking pinnacle of the drunk, belligerent cop that gives too much of a shit about his job to the point where it actually affects his family and his friends and his relationships. It's so good.
They just to kind of give Mark some context here.
This is Idris Elba's first big role, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. They use language that is only known by cops. So when you watch it, you have to know how cops speak in
Mhm.
Baltimore in the 90s on drug cases. And there's no
I don't think it's just Baltimore. Like just
but
like,
but it's very specific to that to that
Like some of that-
unit of
Yeah.
crime fighting. And to
major
Rob's point,
crimes.
you have to wait 3 seasons because then you are
3 episodes.
Well,
3 episodes.
Well, 3 episodes, three seasons for the whole story to really start
Yeah,
tying
yeah,
it back
yeah,
together.
yeah.
But 3 episodes you got to give it for the first season, totally. But what you do get is you get this language and vernacular that then you're like, as soon as you catch it, you're like, oh, I know what they're talking about now.
Mhm.
And then you feel like you're in on it, right? And you're
Mm-hmm.
in on the wiretaps and you're in on that side of what they're trying to
But
do.
there's almost 2 different languages too.
Yeah.
There's the one that the cops are using, and then there's the one that the criminals are using, right? And the slang and the terminology, and there's crossover between them,
Yep.
but they're almost 2 separate things.
I actually went to my phone like tons of times the first time I watched it. It was like, what is a
This
burner?
sounds too much like work.
Urban Dictionary.
But yeah, okay. So I just wanted to mention that. But back to the casting. Yeah, you've got Dominic West, Jim McNulty, Michael K.
You
Williams,
got fucking
Omar
little
Lo-
fingers in that shit.
Littlefinger's in it.
Yeah,
Michael
man.
Jordan is in it.
Yeah,
When he
wow.
was like 13.
yeah, he gets killed at the end of the first season.
And Idris Elba. And to your point, to casting and characters alone, Idris Elba auditioned 3 times.
Mhm.
Took them till the 4th time to catch his accent.
Wow, that's
It took
impressive.
every casting agent in that room. And when they called him back the 4th time, they said, "Kate, we're going to give it to you, but you have to be straight with us." And then that's when he broke his English accent. And they were like, "Motherfucker, this guy
I did.
can
I think
act."
I heard that. Yeah,
It's
I
one of
in
those
an interview.
fucking. It's one of those fucking.
So the
shits.
opposite of Chris Hemsworth.
Production value, Rob. Like, what's
You know what? It's gritty. The first 2 seasons aren't HD because it was before HD.
Yeah.
So when you're watching it on Blu-ray or on DVD, it's not letterboxed until I think season 3, which it drives me crazy because I hate watching stuff in 4:3. But the production value is making it gritty, is making it seem cheap, and it's all filmed on location in Baltimore, in these just desolate areas of certain neighborhoods and in these warehouses and stuff like that. And it's not filmed on a soundstage except for maybe some of the office scenes and
you're right,
courtyard scenes. It's filmed on location. So even though it doesn't have an $80 million production value like Game of Thrones, that's filmed in fucking Malta and has fucking CGI dragons, compared to a regular network show, its budget and production value is very high.
It sounds like it's the perfect genre and subject matter for that style of
Boom.
gritty
Totally.
production.
Yeah, because it doesn't require CGI. It doesn't require
And if it
going
looked
to
pretty,
Ireland.
it wouldn't be good.
No, it's
Really,
supposed to be
right?
great.
Yeah.
And almost I don't know what it is. Almost every single scene, it's fucking overcast, except for a few times where it's sunny. Like it's just, but I feel like they almost do that on purpose to just play up the dreariness of it.
I couldn't agree with you more. I've watched it twice now, just because I watched it the first time and I was like, okay, now I want to go back in and be like, get real meta with it and shit. But it pulls you in because it's then the story. And Martin, correct me if I'm wrong here, but like season 1 is the story of a ragtag group of cops who all get in shit for something.
Mm-hmm.
They're all like rejects, and they're put together to form a unit. That unit is designed to then go after Avon Barksdale, who nobody knows who this criminal is, but he's got the biggest fucking section of corners and selling heroin. The next season is the dock workers.
It's the dock workers and the Greek mafia side.
Yep, with the prostitutes in the sea can. That's
Correct.
the major plot.
Yeah.
Then the 3rd season is the city. And what happens between the 1st and the 3rd season is each of them is its own separate entity. And then all of a sudden Simon was like, hey, I'm going to tie all of these guys back in.
Which is dope.
5, which gets so fucking dope.
Yep.
So
And then it climaxes at the end with Stringer Bell getting shot, and you're so upset about that.
well, no,
It's been 20 fucking years, dude. We're allowed to.
that's not even the end of the fucking
Yeah.
you're fine.
And because you're actually like he plays Stringer Bell so well. He's an anti-hero on the point where you're a fucking terrible, like brutal criminal, but I still want you to win.
Yeah.
And then he does it.
Scarface. It's like a Scarface thing. right?
Totally. You're so upset that Avon betrays him, and you're just like, fuck, because he's so good at what he does. he's like taking business classes and shit, so you like get good at running the business. But then Avon ruins it because it's all about respect and like who has the
It's a
biggest,
co-op.
It's basically who's got the biggest dick. That's what Avon's about. And then Stringer Bell's like, no, I want as much money as possible so I can get the fuck out of this.
Yeah, let's pool our resources.
Totally.
And make a fucking co-op.
Totally.
Well, he what Stringer Bell did was what a lot of gangster movies tried. Like a lot of the plots of a lot of gangster movies was how do we make this business legitimate so that we don't get busted for doing what we're doing anymore. That's the end game, right? No one wants to but some people just want to be gangsters forever. And that's what Avon Barksdale wanted to be.
Yeah, he wants to make lots of money and wanted to be the biggest, but he still wanted to everyone to know that he was the gangster and he was the man.
Yep.
Okay, so we got story.
Well, I'm gonna have to watch it.
Then season 4 brings in the public school, and you start bringing in those teenage boys, and that all ties in. And then season 5, like I said, brings in the fucking newspaper.
It is
and brings in more
essentially
city hall stuff, and brings in more the state government and stuff.
It's 5 dimensions of cop life.
Totally.
Over 7 long fucking amazing years. All right, so we got production value. We got check that. We got characters.
We got casting. We already talked about that.
We got characters.
We talked about the story.
The story. Okay.
Yeah, story. Yeah,
So
everything.
I feel. Yeah. Okay. We can check that box for sure. Mark, considering everybody, we've all seen stuff here except this one thing. I don't want to leave you in the corner. So what's your pick so we can get to our top 4? Like, what do you?
What did I go with?
Yeah.
Well, I went with sort of the obvious. Actually, I was because I had already known the two that you and Martin were talking about, which I'm not familiar with Martin's pick at all.
It's not,
so.
Yeah.
I needed to decide: am I gonna put forward The Sopranos, like the original great HBO drama, or Game of Thrones? And Game of Thrones just was a worldwide phenomenon that I had to go Game of Thrones.
Makes sense.
It's the obvious choice, but it's obvious for a reason.
Which is okay. Let's start with what reason number 1 is.
Which is production value off the fucking charts.
Most
Budget's huge.
show ever made.
It's their movies. Each episode is a fucking movie. And so, I mean, nobody had seen the likes, and we still haven't really seen the likes of that production value, except maybe some of the Disney Plus, like Marvel stuff now is getting into that high level production value.
Still, but it's still dwarfed by the budget.
100%.
First season, $80 million.
When Lord of the Rings comes out for Prime, there we go. That's
so,
what it's gonna be.
right, you're looking at the characters. Obviously, characters of Game of Thrones are
Huge.
highly, highly compelling. And like you're talking about, there's so many storylines going that there's a character for everybody, right? Whether you like the conniving, backstabbing, like Littlefinger and
Cersei's.
and Cersei's, yeah, for sure later on, or whether you like the innocent kind of characters, right? Sansa Stark, and her character arc in the show is amazing.
Yeah.
Even Arya's character arc is pretty amazing. You get really invested in the characters, I think, right from the start. And I think that it's cast
Especially
well.
Ned Stark.
It's cast well in the sense, you really love Ned Stark. I think it's cast well in the sense that shows like that, there was no character that was in the show that I looked at and I knew them from another show, so they looked like
Sean Bean was the only
somebody else.
Sean Bean.
But I didn't really know him from anywhere else.
Lord of the Rings.
I don't care about Lord of the Rings that much, so
Boromir.
I just don't care that much.
He was also in that what was that movie with Robert De Niro where he Ronin. He was in Ronin as well.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you.
He was also very, very, very good in a certain 007 movie.
You clearly need to suck more Sean Bean dick.
But look at the main characters, right? They are gonna be that character for as long as it happens. You're not gonna see Emilia Clarke and not see Daenerys. Right.
True.
Unfortunately, that's a curse and a blessing for her.
Or Peter Dinklage in Tyrion.
Right. Exactly. How do you see that? How do you see Jaime Lannister as anybody but Jaime Lannister? Really? Like Arya and Sansa's character. Like I was watching fucking X-Men, and I'm just like, that's Sansa. Like
a good character lasts forever. Unfortunately, that actor's playing is also attacked. Like it's that.
It's like watching Connery in fucking The Rock and just seeing James Bond there.
Yeah,
Like you do see aspects of it, and I think
but that's good writing.
it's cast well, that they were great actors for those parts, but you weren't trying to make somebody something that they weren't. Like they weren't taking the fucking Rock and inserting them in, like those kind of things. They weren't big name actors, and they became big names because of the show.
The Rock could have been the Mountain, though.
Like even we were talking earlier, Pedro Pascal, who has been in so many things, he still is Oberyn Martell to me, right? I can't look at him and not think, oh, that's.
Can I just say that that's something, I think, what to Mark's point, that's something HBO does a lot with their shows. They'll cast like these kind of really people with talent, but people you don't know very well in movies, like that you can't identify. Like every show that I think we bring up today does that in a sense. Most of them do anyway.
Did The Wire?
It creates like it turns these people into stars and gives them an opportunity.
Like I haven't
do all
watched
this
The
other
Wire,
stuff.
but I know that Idris Elba is Stringer Bell just because that's
Cultural
who he
fabric.
is, right?
Yeah,
But then before that, you didn't know who Idris Elba was before The Wire. at
No.
all.
And I'm not. Yeah, exactly. Right. He wasn't a character to me. He wasn't synonymous with something else. He wasn't like, to me, the first thing I ever saw Idris Elba in was Luther.
Yeah.
Right. And so he's always that little bit of Luther to me as a character.
which is like 15 years later. Like when you
Yeah.
think about the time in between, like for a character like Stringer Bell, and for all of us to love him so much, and then look at his resume and how long it took him to get back into the fucking game. I digress.
So that I mean, obviously the casting is fantastic as far as that goes. Not necessarily taking
Jason
great,
Momoa is
right? Yeah, like Jason
Drogo.
Momoa. Holy fuck, right?
Yeah.
But nobody knew him when he was fucking Khal Drogo. Like he was Khal Drogo.
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
Now he's Aquaman.
It's
Conan.
it's pretty cool seeing those people and the whoever did the casting did it correct. They didn't bring in a big name for the sake of bringing in a big name,
Well, they didn't have the budget for it.
right? they needed more dragons.
$5 million first
Yeah.
season, 15 million last season per episode.
So I mean, obviously the
episode?
story
Wow.
is obviously compelling. Like I mean, there's no arguing that.
No, and I mean, for those of you who don't know, Martin, want to give a quick synopsis of the books for everybody?
Like, what do you mean?
Quick
Just-
synopsis.
I was thinking about this all day. I was like, how do you
Well, the
keep-
books are pretty.
It's fire versus ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, the books are like, season 1 is pretty on point with the books, but then after that, the show takes a life of its own and kind of branches off and does its own thing and focuses on different characters. Like there's a lot of characters in the books that you don't meet at all because they don't have time. There's so many characters in the books that you miss a lot of that in the show, is what I find. And also one thing that the books do really well is they do a lot of really cool history stuff. Like you really get to know where Ned Stark's sword Ice came from, like his big Valyrian blade. Like you get the history of that. You get the history of Daenerys' horse as well, the white horse that she got from Khal Drogo on the wedding night. Like you get to know where that came from and the significance of that, stuff like that. Which I still recommend the books over the series if you're a fan of it.
What I found myself doing was I loved the show so much that when something happened, I like not reading the books, but I would go and read like the fan wikis about all the history of that particular thing, like the history of the Wall and the Night's Watch, and and George R.R. Martin created this world that is so vast that they go into like with the Targaryens, they're like 4 generations back of Targaryens and the stories of this battle that occurred back in this, like holy shit, like he created generational stories for them.
40
And
generations.
all that, like all the stuff that you read on the wikis is all in the books. Like
Yeah, and
everything
that's
in there is mentioned in the books.
So I found it in bits and pieces, like pulled from the books and the canon, which to me was great because I'm that type of person that I get introduced something and then I want to just go down the rabbit hole and learn everything there is about the, like when I found out about the tower, like the potential who was Rhaegar Targaryen, right?
Yeah.
That whole storyline. I read so much and so many fan theories and so much background. Like it was
The
just
Tower of Joy. Did you mean that? The Tower of
yeah,
Joy.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the scene came, and then they actually had the scene in the show. I was like, holy fuck. Like I didn't expect it.
I came into it.
Can I just I want to touch it on Mark's point. Like I think that's one of my favorites. I guess it's top there of favorite scenes in, I guess, in a season where it's already surpassed the books. Like I wasn't a huge fan of the last few seasons just because of the way the writing was. But I mean that scene was great because it really teaches you that history is written in the victor's perspective and never the losers.
Yeah.
Because the way Brandon Stark always heard that story was his dad crushed the Sword of the Morning. I can't remember his name is, but he beat that knight fair and square, beat him, but like he did it. He got saved by a buddy, and it was a dishonorable kill. Like the dude got killed because he got stabbed in the back, which
Yeah.
is I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, it was. I found that that's the one series that I probably spent, like, if I want to get a ratio, probably 4-1 between like watching it and then reading everything about it and fan theories. Like, I followed multiple YouTube channels that dissected every inch of, like, Alt Shift X. If you didn't get into his YouTube channels, he dissects the shit out of every episode, every reference to the book, referencing the book in. So he did scene breakdowns of every episode.
Jesus.
Amazing, like detailed shit. He's like, oh, this is in the background. This relates to this family that had this sigil that did this and this. Like, I'm like, oh, I just fucking blew my mind. Anyways,
More.
yeah, and I couldn't get enough of the canon.
So,
Except I don't read.
But
So you like the characters, you're saying?
The characters are good.
to go with his running
Story
theme, though.
story good. Characters good. Cast good.
Production value?
Production good.
Good.
What about the last season?
Sucks. Sucks giant Drago balls.
You know what? I mean, I love Game of Thrones, but I think it has a spot now for me of disappointment because the last season felt
Shame.
so rushed.
I wanted to take that
And-
show and walk
and-
it down the fucking road and throw rocks
And
at
the
it
funny
like they
thing
did
is,
this
I
series.
actually felt like we were coming to that already at season 6.
Yeah,
like
we-
once
It's when the books stopped, when the show took over the books. That's how I felt the same way, Rob.
And they
Exactly.
also like in season 6, I was like, okay, because they kind of spread season 5, didn't cover all of book 5. It was more book 4, and then they dipped into it a little bit, and then book 6 or season 6 was kind of like book 5. But then one of the key story arcs from book 5 wasn't included in season 6, and I was like, because you could tell in book 5 that this was going to be a big part in the next book 6 and book
It
7.
felt fragmented.
It just felt fragmented, and I knew from the beginning when they first launched that series, I was like, fucking George R. R. Martin takes way too fucking long to write every book. This is gonna end.
I'll tell you the
badly.
scene that really fucking lost it for me at the
Mhm.
end is leading up to it. People would go from like King's Landing to the Wall, and it would be a fucking week's journey, right?
Mm.
Shit would happen. They'd meet people on the way. There's all this shit would happen. And then when they're beyond the wall, they're trapped on the ice, surrounded by the fucking walkers, and then somehow in like 15 minutes they get help.
I think Gendry's able to run all the way back.
Like, what the fuck? This used to be like you pack for a month's journey, and suddenly you can just go and get the fucking dragons to come back and help.
Hang on, I'll be back in a minute, guys.
Like, fuck that.
No, I
That's
know.
it was
They-
everything was in fast forward, and then it just completely lost.
And
the
it
fun.
was
It was like warping in World
Yeah.
of Warcraft.
But you know what though?
and then the fucking walls coming down, and then there's like
they
fuck.
the D&Ds, they signed a deal last season of Game of Thrones to do a Star Wars show for Disney. That Star Wars show is null and void now. Doesn't exist. I don't know if they got paid, but it's literally like they phoned in from the Disney lot
Oh.
to the fucking last season of Game of Thrones and was like, yeah, just do whatever. Do whatever you want with the dragon. Like it just fell off pace. It didn't have the same taste. The characters, like you could tell we weren't getting finality with these guys.
How
We don't-
much did you look forward to the fucking battle with the walkers, and the entire episode was just fucking different shades of black?
Yeah.
It was
Worst
snow.
lit episode in the history of television.
It was horrible.
Most ex-
Anyways, so this is in summation.
It
'cause
also
we can
doesn't.
talk
It
about
also, it also doesn't help that HBO and all the streaming services are not 4K, but that's
No.
another conversation. And HDR.
exactly. I hear in 4K it was actually more distinguishable.
Yes. No, I did hear the same thing.
Not pixelated whatsoever. So, anyways, that's the only reason probably is the way that it ended, and like you're saying, the sour taste in your mouth. That I wouldn't say it's the best HBO series of all time because you have to include the final season, and it soured me on the end.
You have 2 seasons to really take care of. First season, last season.
Yeah.
Everything else you can create your world in, but if you don't end well, you'll never let it down. And if you don't start well, you'll get cut.
And it
it's-
wasn't just the last episode; like it was the entire final season. I think.
I think
Sucked balls.
I think the 7th season was a little weak too.
It was.
Yeah.
100%.
I spent
Yeah.
every time I'd watch an episode, I spent it on my phone,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's a reflection of me not really giving a fuck.
Well, I wanted to say before we kind of piece out on here is that we've talked about the casting, we've talked about the production value, but these characters, and we were talking about this pre-show about Ned and about Rob and about how they did such a good, and I don't know how much of it was Martin or how much of it was the DD boys, but they did such a good job at wrapping you in to these characters. And I don't know about the rest of the room, but I've never been more shocked than the Red Wedding episode.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh, fuck. I read that on the bus.
In the books.
yeah, you did.
I read that on the bus. I read the Red Wedding on the bus, and I was about to cry. Had to get off the bus.
The other one, was it the Yellow Wedding or something?
Oh, the Purple Wedding.
The Purple Wedding. See, that was a fucking fantastic episode.
Which one was that one?
Well, because he gets his comeuppance, right? Were you the one who said you like to see people get their comeuppance? I can't remember.
He was so fucking evil, Joffrey, that I was just so fucking happy when he died. Like, it's a child dying and I'm fucking cheering.
Yeah.
And then I thought nobody could be a worse fucking person than Joffrey, and then fucking Ramsay Bolton comes along.
Right.
I'm like, holy fuck.
And the thing is, in the book, it's even more savage than what they show on the show because they can't get into that depth.
They get
on
snuff if
TV.
they get that.
It gets too dark. Like the mountain is insane in the books. The mountain is dark in the books. Like stuff you read about it, like, oh man, they cannot show this on any TV program.
Like when they do the flashback in the book where the Hound remembers the Mountain shoving his face in the fucking fire.
Yeah, the flashback.
And you think the Hound looks ugly in the TV show. In the book, half his face is basically just melted.
Yep.
Like it's completely fucked. And even like Tyrion doesn't have a nose for
No.
like the fourth and fifth book. His nose is gone.
Really?
Yeah, dude. Like
It wasn't just a scar on his cheek?
it wasn't just a scar across his face. The whole front of his nose is gone. He just has two big air holes there.
Oh,
But
wow.
to the point of what you said earlier about giving a shit, like the running theme today is
Yeah.
giving a shit about the characters. I was in tears. I was flabbergasted. I felt a sense of fucking loss the next day at work when Rob was toast
Yeah.
and lineage was gone, and I watched a baby get stabbed on TV.
Yeah,
And a dire wolf
brutal.
gets killed.
Brutal.
Come on.
But to the point of character development, even though the show ended
Mm-hmm.
shitty, I've never been more
Invested.
invested. Thank you. I've never been more sucked in by Tyrion's charm, by Jaime's boastfulness, by Cersei's bitchiness. Right? Like
They
just
didn't develop Arya all the way though.
No, they didn't. They missed.
I
Arya.
want a show
Totally agree.
just about Arya.
Her arc was going awesome and it fell short. They did finish Sansa very strong though.
Yeah.
Sansa was great. I liked her arc. Can I just give a pause for a moment to respect Lena Headey as probably one of the greatest villains of all time? Like Cersei Lannister. In this show, there are characters that you feel bad for. You hate at the beginning, but then you feel bad for. I hated the Cersei. I hated in the sense that I just didn't like the actual person Cersei Lannister was. But Lena Headey played a great job as Cersei Lannister.
He's a villain in Dread.
Truly
as well.
somebody that you
gosh.
love to hate.
Yeah. Walking around drunk with a cup of wine, giving out bad advice and screwing people over. You're just like,
That was like the Game of Thrones version of a Karen. Like she played the Karen to the max.
Yeah.
Like she was just like, I get what I want all the time. I'm white and I have blonde hair.
The guy that plays Tywin is very, very good too.
Charles Dance, baby. Charles Dance.
I can remember his name. Thank you. He's so
Golden Child, Rob. Golden Child.
I was gonna say that he's so good in the Golden Child.
I was gonna pull Alien 3, but yeah, Golden Child wins that one. Point. Okay, so characters, plot, story, and
It had everything to be a winner, and then it fucking didn't finish.
Yeah. It blew you right to climax.
It was a
and
five.
then
It was
pulled
it was a
off.
5 pump chump.
Yeah.
Yep.
But such an expensive pump.
But it's still it's a great show.
It is.
It is. It is really good.
The fact that Peter Dinklage is a fucking movie star.
Yeah.
After that is one of my biggest takeaways because I love that guy.
He was such a good character.
He's such a good actor.
He's one of those people that was kind of a shithead, and he backstabbed a lot of people, but I was cheering for him the whole way. Like,
He's the star of the books.
yeah, he's
Yes.
an amazing character.
The 3 main characters of those books are not the Starks. It's fucking Jaime, Cersei, Tyrion. That's just my 2 cents.
I drink and I know things.
Mm-hmm.
Could you not come up with you like quotes, Martin?
It's
Drink and I know things. All right, moving on. Martin, do you want me to go next or do you want to go next?
up to you. Whatever you want to do.
All right, I'll take this one here because I'm fresh off the fucking printer with this. So I picked
Sex in the City.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Too hot to handle. We're going back to that.
Yeah, I'm gonna do Netflix. What Netflix? Yeah, no, it's Crave, isn't it? No, that's Love Island is on HBO.
I
Too Hot
don't
to
even
Handle's
know what
on
Love
Netflix.
Island
All
is,
right,
Mike.
can you please stop talking about these terrible shows and talk about your HBO pick?
I picked the dystopian future drama Westworld, and
That's a gooder.
two of us have seen it. Me and Martin we're all the way in.
I've seen
Balls
1.5 seasons.
I went hard on season 1,
Loved
Okay.
it.
and I really watched season 1.
So I will sell it to you without ruining the plot.
I got up to
but
where
I
they
will
got to the
tell you
samurai world in season 2.
Okay, well, it goes.
I know it gets better. I just haven't been able to get back into it.
So first of all, we'll go with story. I love that somebody had the balls to adapt Michael Crichton's worst fucking movie ever and pitch that.
Yul Brynner, baby. Yul Brynner was in it.
Yul Brynner's the Man in Black. Josh Brolin's dad. What's his name?
James Brolin.
James Brolin plays one of the two guys going to the park.
I prefer Barbara Streisand's husband.
Yeah.
Sorry.
James Streisand.
Sorry, Josh Brolin's mom. My bad. But like, it's Michael Crichton's. I think it was his directorial debut.
It was. Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was so bad.
Ooh, that's not a purring cat in the background. That's an actual ambulance. That makes me feel bad.
Oh no, sorry, I live in downtown, guys. So something's happening.
That's a stabby sound from Vancouver.
Just with all the bullshit.
We're just swatting Martin.
Paranoid. Okay, so yeah, anyways, yeah. I love that somebody had the balls, specifically Jonathan Nolan, a Nolan brother.
Yep.
Go to HBO and be like, we're gonna do this, but we're gonna do it fucking right. And
What do you think his pitch was?
I think his
Android hookers in Wild Wild West.
I was gonna say, think Jurassic Park, but with robots you can fuck.
That's, you know what? There it is. I think that was the one-liner, Martin. I think you got it in its entirety. Like, robots who can fuck inside of a park. You down? I know it worked well with Spielberg. We're just gonna fuck the people instead of fuck the dinosaurs. So the fact that it was, first of all, it launched off the movie perfectly well. It launched 30 years after, so it has great tie-in into the movie because it's tying back into the fan base. But production value will start there. I think this is getting just south of 10 an episode. It's very fucking expensive to do. It's very
The
well
intro's
shot.
cool.
The intros are amazing. The money alone to buy some of the songs, like they continue the cover song thing with the piano throughout the entire series. So you get more Soundgarden later on. Like
That's because nobody can sell albums anymore, so this is
I
how
know.
they make money.
but they create this world that, well, without ruining it for you guys, I don't know how to explain this, but I'll try.
It's a Westworld.
It's a Westworld, but it's see,
It's an amusement park.
it just
Soda?
looks. They do such a good job
There's cowboys.
at showing you. Fuck, both of you, shut up. They do such a good job at showing you
Horses.
how one is a robot and one isn't,
Mm.
and you can't really tell the difference.
Yeah.
But as soon as they can,
Mm-hmm.
it's completely obvious. And I think that's one of the greatest things about it. I don't like the litany of directors that these guys have. I mean, I know Nolan and Lisa Joy do usually the first and second episode of each season, and then they'll end it. But just watching it is visually stunning. Like, it's all location set. I mean, it is shot in California, so they got a lot of options, but they did a really good job of you.
It's not hard to recreate the
it's not
Wild West.
That's what I'm saying.
Let's go to
Let's
Death
get some
Valley.
tumbleweeds and rocks.
Where's a very dry field?
Arid climate.
You start the show with Dolores waking up in this town, and then the next, like later on in the episode, is this bullet train from like 2025, and they just cut in and out. So, like, the amount of money to show you the difference between when you're in the park, when you're outside of the park, they take a very close note at making sure this world is immersive and you're involved in it. So production value gets my vote. 10 out of 10.
Where was your mind when you found out that a key character wasn't human and was actually a robot? What were your thoughts on that?
I think I ran around the house 7 times trying to find myself.
Because you're just like, what the fuck?
That's
Like, how did I not see that? I think that's the biggest thing, right?
this is, we'll get into story. Perfect spot. So what you've got is you've got a linear story, but as soon as you find out at certain points when they change the aspect ratio, they're changing the timeline.
Mhm.
So your story is now happening in 3 different timelines in the first season and the second season, which is then out of order, and the third season, which is finally in chronological order. To play with you and use the story's actual timeline and the way they film it to trick your mind is huge, because then you learn to watch for it. And it's this leader, right?
Yeah.
Like you're like, okay, we've gone from 16:9 to, whatever.
22.3.
Thank you. Yeah. 333 repeating, Martin.
0.33 repeating, of course.
Okay. Just those little things that they add to it make watching it just that much more fun. Now the story itself, dystopian future. Okay, fine. Fuck
Is it a dystopian future though, or is it just the future?
It's the future, but it's dystopian in the fact that they have finally figured out, like Westworld 1, what we all know is the park was designed for rich people to get away and fucking shoot shit, right?
Fucking kill.
Fucking kill.
Fucking kill.
The second season, we find out that they've been monitoring the guests. So think Facebook on a global scale.
Oh.
They've now been following you, learning what drives you, learning what you want in life.
And there's
Pretty big spoiler.
more than just there's like other worlds, right?
There's Westworld, War World, Army World, which was a training facility for the military.
Which one's the samurai?
Shogun World,
Okay,
which is
Shogun,
the samurai
yeah.
world. There's also Raj World, which was in India, that gets like a quick 2-episode showing in the second season.
Oh. Now I need to watch the show. I'm kind of getting you talking about it.
Yeah, I'm
me
getting
into
kind
it.
of excited here.
And then
So-
don't they bring what's his face from Breaking Bad into season 3?
Aaron Paul.
Well, isn't
And
there?
he's amazing in season 3. His act, it's good. Like, I'm glad to see him back in a good show. And in season 3 of the Westworld, he's great.
That's a check off for casting for it. Fuck. Okay. Like the names are eluding me right now because I'm so excited about the goddamn show.
I really
just
hate
know
that.
ca-
I really hate-
Dolores, Man in
so
Black.
so there's Hannibal Lecter.
Yes.
Okay. And is it RoboCop?
Which one's RoboCop?
No.
I think the
trying-
one thing I love about the show, and I think what the one thing that the show does really well is it really brings the theme of Michael Crichton books into the forefold, which is control. Like Michael Crichton's a lot of his books and themes of a lot of his movies is about control and having control. And each season they try to say, like, who's in control, who's in control, who's in control, until you find out, well, can you really control something? Can you really control freedom? Can you control free will? Like that's the big question that they ask throughout the whole series, which is great.
Yeah, and to piggyback what he just said, it is very much tied into the way we're living right now. Like the third season is like the final end game. So we had this park. This park was designed to let people get away and do shit. Then the owners of the park were like, we want to make an immortality project. We want to create fidelity. We want to be able to create.
Well, he had to sell. Didn't he have to sell the park or sell a portion of the park because he wasn't making enough money? And that's where that whole monitoring comes in, because it wasn't really Ford's original plan, wasn't it?
To like
His plan was
monetize the metadata essentially.
Yeah,
exactly.
How good's Anthony Hopkins in that shit?
he's
Great.
And Ed Harris is so good. And
Dude,
then
Ed Harris is like, that's
the
my
other-
favorite character.
Tandy
just like-
Newton, Evan Rachel Wood
Yeah.
with these two badass females just constantly.
Who's
like,
the guy that plays the young Ed Harris? What's that actor's name again?
He's good.
He's
Jimmy-
in.
Oh,
I love his
he's
character.
in Sunny, right? In Sunny?
Yeah.
Drinking the milk with the fucking house coat on. Oh.
But like you never know who you're dealing with too.
He was
with
also
part
in
of
the
story.
in 1998's Loser. Fun fact.
Oh god. Like because you can take the personalities of these robots in and out of them and put them in other robots. Half of season 2, there's like 7 characters that you don't know who they are, only by what they look like. So that you see them, they've been in other episodes, but who's inside the person, you have no idea what copy of a robot.
Wasn't there like the same type of character though in the Shogun world as in the Westworld?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, very similar storylines.
They use the same storyline because they need to have this set of continuity with the story, where if a robot does the same thing over and over again, it will essentially become sentient. So what they try to do is they end up going from the park to the sold data to a computer, trying to program society so that it runs perfectly and there's no problems. They get
AI's
rid of crime.
fucked.
They get rid of poverty. But what ends up happening is these groups of outliers come into play and screw with the problem. That's third season shit. Anyways,
Sounds like
So
Demolition
Are
Man.
they using the worlds to beta test reprogramming the world?
100%.
Boom. You don't have to watch it anymore, Mark. You just figured it out.
Mind blown emoji.
I'm watching racing after this. What are you watching?
Westworld.
Season 2 and 3 of Westworld.
Season 2 and 3 of Westworld.
I might have to rewatch season 1.
I won't kill plot line.
Or a really
and
well done
one more
recap.
question.
Yeah.
When a robot
Fucks another
learns-
robot.
learns that it's a robot, so
Dr-
it now has self-awareness.
Dreams of Electric Sheep.
Is it no longer a robot? Like if a robot knows it's a robot, then it's no longer a robot.
Sure it
It's
is.
called sentience.
It's
Yeah.
a sentient robot.
Well, I know, but there's this fine line that you cross of this self-awareness.
Then
That's
it's
a
an
human
android.
quality,
Then it's Data.
like from the next generation.
To answer your question, to the corporation that owns that product, it's IP. To the scientist who's made it, it's a human. To the robot itself, it's still unaware.
It's Electric Sheep.
It's a fucking baby in the world's eyes. But yes, that's exactly what it is, where you've got these robots who are programmed who eventually have memories. That's the thing. Like you learn in season 1 that they have memories.
That's right.
I'm dwelling too much on the story because I just can't
Anyways,
talk about
it's
it
good.
enough.
It's good.
It's fucking amazing.
So good casting.
Good
Good
casting.
You give a shit about the characters.
Yes.
You like the fucking story.
Yes.
And the production value's on point.
No, it sucks. No, I just want to say what Mark said.
So it's less character-driven, though. It's more story-driven.
It's less. Well, no, because each character is coming to terms with something. Either they are a robot and they're trying to find their place in the world, or they're a human trying to get out of being programmed.
It's kind of like with Wizard of Oz, where they're all looking for
Yeah,
something.
everybody has a thing.
Courage, a heart,
Yeah.
a brain.
Well, in the end, they're all just trying to find themselves, right, in their place in the world. No matter if it's like a human or a robot, they're trying to figure out where they fit and where they belong. And that's the big question that drives each character: is what am I? Who am I? Am I a robot? Like, where do I belong in the world?
Being human too, though. Really?
Yeah.
Essentially, yeah, and that's what they're playing with. They're playing with, if we make an AI that can recognize enough qualities in humanity and it becomes self-aware, does that make it close enough to a human, or is that just something that's factoring in, pluses and minuses?
What
to
makes
keep
a human a human?
Exactly, and these are questions that the show asks through a really great way of robots and fucking.
I'm kind of excited
Well,
about
considering the robots-
getting into season 2 and 3 then.
It's. I will tell you this: the one thing that no other show on HBO has that this show has is they
Anthony
decided.
Hopkins?
Things that the show has that no other HBO show has is a 4D immersive world, which is kind of also why I picked it. So,
What's
season
4D?
4D means it breaks the fourth wall. It's the fourth dimension. It's our dimension, right? So,
Oh, I thought you were saying Smell-O-Vision's invented.
that'd be cool. I can smell this robot's oil leaking. That's
That's not oil.
not oil.
You've seen the hose downs at the end of the night. That's not oil.
Oh my god. The way they treat the robots in the second and third season, when you actually get to see the under parts of the park, where they're just throwing these people around and then sewing them back up. This fourth wall thing is they made a Delos website where you could go and book a trip to Westworld. So you
That's
got,
pretty cool.
and then you got an AI who would talk to you and you could ask questions. And then buried in the website were codes that if you unlocked them from the show, you could get more information on the websites. And then the show would point you to the websites to look for other things, and then you'd have to go around this room. So it was this other world that was part of the world that gave you more fandom and more like, could this be happening? What is this character doing? And then you could piece stuff together. A lot of red herrings, a lot of shit in there that would like lead you astray.
A lot of Easter eggs.
But you could play with the characters, right? You could go in and you could look at files that were buried inside some of these characters' operating systems, and you could see clips from the show and reorganize them to see if it makes sense for you. So it was this other world within the world that, like when you watch Sopranos, when you watch Wire, yes, they take you into that world, but when you walk away, you don't have anything. But you can go, like you could go book a trip from March 6th to March 19th at a Delos Park, and it would send you an itinerary and send you an email after, and you could
that's
play
cool.
with it. So like it kept you interested in it. And there was one, like the corporation that runs it all.
That will be $6 million.
This is what they do. But the corporation Insight that runs it all, when they released season 3, they did this thing where they created an actual day at Insight where you got to the hotel room and then you went downstairs into the conference room, and they sold you a product like they would at Insight, and that was their demo. And then they watched
like they gave you the pitch.
they gave you the pitch like they would in the show, And then that was how they let all the reporters watch.
Okay,
the
you
first
convinced us
episode.
the show's awesome. And
Right?
We're both gonna watch the rest of
All
it.
right, I just want to be number one on our top 4 here, guys.
No,
You just gotta power through season 2. Season 2 is by far the weakest season. Season 1 and 3, like season 3 kicks it up again to where season 1 left off, which is awesome.
Yes, it
Big question is, do I start The Wire or finish Westworld?
Finish Westworld.
Yeah, you got 1 foot in.
I already started
The
Westworld.
The Wire. You're gonna wait till the fall.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a fall time
it's
show
not
for
a
sure.
it's not a watch in the summer show.
it's a sweater weather kind of show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fire, whiskey,
Yeah, it's-
wire.
It's I'm putting 5 pounds on weather.
So wire,
Okay, 20 for me.
Been there, done that already.
wire, Game of Thrones, Westworld. Martin, go.
I'm bringing something to the table I didn't think I would like.
Next in the
My first choice was Sopranos. That's what I was gonna say, but I wanted to bring a show that I just watched this year for the first time. Came out in, was it 2014, I think?
I think it was 2017.
2017? Yeah, I've never seen well, the show I'm talking about is The Leftovers. I've never seen it. I just saw it, like I said, saw it this year during the whole COVID lockdown thing. I'm not gonna go through each category. Sorry, what were you saying?
I said I saw a lot of leftovers this year.
When did it come out, Mike?
Came out 2014 to 2017.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
wow, it's that.
Yeah.
Oh.
I feel like
Few
it was,
years.
wow.
I'm not going to go through each category. I think as a group, let's do that together. But what I wanted to do was I just wanted to tell you why I like this show, and especially during the time that I watched it, just why it was significant. Basically, like, so I'll just give you a quick premise for those who haven't seen it. So it's 2011, and one day in October, 2% of the world just vanishes. No trace, no nothing. They just disappear. You don't know how.
Except
And then that's so. Sorry, what are you saying, Rob?
for from one town in Texas.
Yes, except for one. That's season 2. But there's one town where it doesn't have. But everywhere in the world, 2% of the population just vanishes. There's no explanation. And the show takes place. I think it's 3 years after the event. So the show basically shows you how people deal with trauma, like a traumatic event. Because there's some people who lost one person, some people didn't lose any, some people lost 3 or 4. Like, you know what I mean? But that's what I love about the show. It shows how people deal with trauma, and people deal with trauma in different ways. Like some people choose drugs and alcohol. Other people, might find religion or join a cult. Like that's the way people process it. And this is just a crazy event that, I think if it happened in real life, we would have a pretty similar issue with what happened on the show. That's why I like it. And I think I like it also because, like Mark said, like it's very character driven, and I love the characters in it. And one thing that I love about this show is they give you all the characters are basically pieces of shit. But you find out that, you know what? They're just human. They're not really pieces of shit. Like these are just people dealing with trauma. And this is sometimes they act shitty because of what happened to them and how they don't know how to deal with it. So I think that's one thing. Like really, you hate characters like there's characters that I hated at the start, but then as the show goes on, I'm like, oh, well, that's why he's like that. And I feel really bad for that person because that's what happened to them. And that's what I think this show does so well. And I think the fact that it's only 3 seasons is perfect. Like I wasn't dissatisfied with the ending. I'm just like, all right, that show ended. That was the right time for it to end.
Like, was it a planned ending or?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think it was planned. Yeah, it was based on a book, and the book I think only deals with the first season. So everything after that was kind of expanded. But yeah, it was a great ending. I thought it ended well. The cast was amazing. Actors were great. One of my favorite characters was a character, Patty. She's like she's the head of one of the heads of one of the cults that pops up as a result of this. I don't know. I'll open it to you guys. Have you seen it, Rob?
I've seen the first season, and I've seen season 2 up to the point where they find his handprint on the car,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
I really liked it. For whatever reason I just stopped watching it, and it's been on my watch list for a long time to get into it. I think one of the things that was surprising for me was that I was surprised at how good of an actor Justin Theroux was. Because before that, he was like the creepy, funny guy from Wonderlust, and I was like, and the
yoga guy,
and the guy that wrote fucking Tropic Thunder, right? Like, that's who he was
and Iron Man, by the way.
He wrote Iron Man.
Iron Man 1.
Did he write?
Wow.
Like the story of the screenplay.
Screenplay.
Wow, that's impressive. He was also the villain in
Charlie's Angels.
No, he was, and also Your Highness.
Yes, he was too.
Oh yeah, he wasn't in your. Yeah, okay, I forgot about that. Yeah,
Like they gave him like bad teeth and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I liked it. It was very stylized. It's and I think you hit the nail on the head by saying it's about how different humans deal with drama. And yeah, you're right. Patty's character is great, especially when like they kidnap her and then she actually starts talking. And yeah, because that cult's kind of crazy because they don't talk, right?
yeah. The guilty remnant.
But they smoke a lot.
They do. They do.
I'll chime in here. Mark, you saw Lost, right?
No.
No? Okay. You saw Watchmen, though, right?
Nobody
The
saw
series,
Too
no.
Hot to Handle.
Yeah, see, this is why I feel guilty about watching Too Hot to Handle. It's not like I ran out of shows.
I watched 6
I actually
hours
chose-
of Too Hot to
I
Handle
chose to watch it instead of something good.
instead of watching this acclaimed dramatic show.
Did you see Watchmen?
I've seen the movie, but I
Can
didn't
I ask you?
watch the show.
Can I ask you a question though?
I'm trying
Mark?
to put him into a hole here because Damon Lindelof is the writer of Leftovers, who was one of the big writers on Lost,
Mhm.
who's also one of the writers on Watchmen.
On Watchmen.
And he loves to write confusing shit. And
The Leftovers is confusing. It jumps a lot.
it jumps a lot, but Martin's point is great. It's about grief and
Mhm.
about acceptance in a very roundabout way. Like by the time you get to where all these characters are going, this cult, this event, it's really
Voices
fun.
in people's heads.
Voices, yeah, like there's so
weird
many
shit
things that are
happening
going
to
on.
them.
But in the end of it all, it's about what people go through during grief. And this event is just it's like the heroine in The Wire.
Mhm.
Grief is the protagonist in this one.
Grief 100% the protagonist.
Ooh.
Or
You
is it the antagonist?
there is one I think it's the second last episode of the first season or the last episode where you're introduced to the characters 3 years after the event, but then you find out what all the characters were doing on the day of the event.
Oh, it's crazy. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, like and
Like
you're
cheating
married.
on their spouse
Yeah.
and
You're married to all these characters in a perception of these are who they are, but
Yeah.
you don't know the one thing that they did that makes them so bad.
Yeah. Why they feel guilty about why they're still around. Like a lot of people, they have that guilt of why do I get to stay when all these good people left? You know what I mean? Like why? Like I'm a piece of shit. Why am I still here? Like, I don't deserve to be here.
because they
Yeah.
are.
And I mean, they really don't absolve you much. I don't want to ruin it entirely for you, but Martin, they close it, but they don't really close it that
They don't
way.
explain. Yeah, it's just it ends. It ends. It was a satisfying way. Like they didn't have to like touch up on anything, whether it was like whether it was like another being or aliens or they just end it.
Like it's like if this happened in real life and you sometimes can't explain something.
Do you
That's
say
kind of how it
"Ugh"
ends.
at the end?
No,
It's not like Inception where the thing's spinning and you don't know.
no. You get
Leaves you guessing.
you get character closure.
Like the door opens to the diner and you don't know what happens.
Prime example. Why were there polar bears on like one of the episodes of Lost? Nobody ever explained it, but it helped drive the story to this weird place. So this is the same thing where you get absolution of your characters, but you may not be like, well, why the fuck did that happen? It actually they do such a good job that you don't care almost.
I was very satisfied when it ended. I was like, yo, I binged it and I was like, at the end of it, I'm like, that was a good show. Like I didn't expect the Leftovers to be that good, but I was like, yo, that was a pretty good show. Everything that I wanted out of it, good.
I think-
Sounds interesting. I'm intrigued.
Here's what we should do. We should just vote on what Mark will watch in order.
I'm gonna finish
He's
Okay.
and I'm
already
gonna
committed.
and Leftovers is after the wire.
Okay.
Oh, I
there's
thought it was
that.
going to be the other way around.
No,
actually.
wait. I'm gonna watch the rest of Westworld, the Matrix trilogy.
You really just need to watch the first one.
Just like to kind of give you an idea.
No,
too,
he
like,
needs to watch all three so he can watch the fourth one that's coming out.
Let's
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I forgot about that.
let's touch on this for a second because the cast is awesome. The cast is not Iron Man 1.
Do you have a UHD player?
No.
Okay.
So Justin Theroux, Amy Brennerman, Christopher Eccleston. Do you guys remember Gone in 60 Seconds? The guy who makes coffins, the bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He plays a preacher in this. He's pretty good. Liv Tyler's in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's the biggest star in it. Like that I knew. I didn't really know everyone else too much.
Carrie Coon from the TV show Fargo. Who else is
The
in
girl the lady that plays Patty,
it? And
that
Dowd.
actress.
And Dowd.
The funny thing is, after I saw her in The Leftovers, I felt like she was like everything after that because
She's
she
on a
was
run.
because she's very good in Handmaid's Tale too.
Yes. Oh god.
Mhm.
And you know what? It's almost like they went to look at Patty's character and they were like, "Could you do that again? Just be
Can you just
meaner?"
play like crazy people from dystopian futures? Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Check.
Yeah. Check.
Well, it's crazy too because Regina King is in it, and if you're saying that the writer for this wrote also The Watchmen, like she was the star in Watchmen, like a few years later after the show ended, right? So
Who's the guy? Who's the actor that's in it that plays kind of the what?
Is it Justin Theroux's dad?
No, the other guy.
I'm going through the characters here. Because Scott Glenn
which
is
guy? Which guy? What did he do in the show?
Anyways.
Was it he was kind of like the prophet guy?
Oh yeah, that's Christopher Eccleston.
I feel
No,
like-
not that guy. The black.
Scott Glenn. It was his dad. Oh, which one?
Oh, the black guy. I know who he's talking about. Regina King's husband,
Oh, Kevin Carroll.
Kevin Carroll. That's it. Yeah.
Show me what he looks like.
I think you guys are going a little too.
He was in the
too far
TV
down this.
He was in
well
the
here.
TV show Travelers.
You're literally just humming and hawing and searching things on your phone. There's people trying to listen to us on the radio.
I don't care about them. This is for us. All right. I think we've chewed this.
He doesn't mean that.
I-
Please listen
No,
for
I love
you.
they know we love them. There's no show without them. It's just us sitting in a room.
No, there'd be a show without them. It just we would be the only ones listening to it.
Listening to it.
Mike needs a young Jamie so that he doesn't.
I want a young Jamie. Anybody out there doesn't want to get paid, but help me. I'll take you.
Or
Let's-
a wobby wob.
Okay, number one. Let's try to all agree here. I think, and Mark, you're coming in here cold on some stuff, so it'll be really fun to see how this averages out. But I think,
That's what I feel like I've only got 1/4 of this, but I watch so many other HBO shows that we didn't talk about.
I know we didn't talk about them. So which one is it? What's the other one? Because I said we were going to get to this. So like, what's your other show? What's your
Oh, like
Are we
the
doing 30 minutes?
talking about
Entourage. Entourage. 100%. Maybe my favorite HBO show ever.
I like True Blood.
Okay,
I'm gonna give you my 10-second.
Yeah.
Basically on Entourage.
give me your hot take.
Unbelievable fucking cast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. It was the show to be on for celebrities in that era. Playing yourself, you're the it show to do a guest cameo on. It finished fucking. What other show has ever been on HBO that finished with a movie? Right.
Sex in the City. Sex in the City.
Oh yes, Sex in the City.
But
There you go.
the cool thing is though is that in the show he was getting a big break, so they gave him a movie. Like it's meta.
Exactly.
That was really
And
cool.
honestly, like, I think Jeremy Piven's character as Ari Gold is one of the best. Went to cable comedy, if you like, you want to call it, sort of.
Yeah, you
Like
Perfect
Entourage is its
asshole.
own unique, such an amazing character.
I think it was
The show was
first,
kind of douchey too, though.
It was.
but
But
it
on
was,
purpose.
But it was it was 100%. And Mark Wahlberg produced too.
Yeah.
Like that's his baby. I think Ari Gold is a lesson in character writing. I think how they treated him and knowing what he could do. Nobody else could be Ari Gold. Jeremy Piven is
Oh.
is Ari Gold. But that power broker, Hollywood super agent mogul that like we all hear about behind the scenes. Perfect.
But he played that as he was so egotistical, and yet he allowed us to show his insecurities at times. Right? So he came across as so fucking egotistical and such a douche, but then he would just give you that little taste of like he's scared shitless of his fucking boss, of his wife.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, those kind of things. So
One of the things I love about Ari Gold is the fact that when you're talking about his human side, like he legit cares for Vince, which is something that you don't think an agent would. Like he legit considers Vince a friend, and he would go to bat for Vince and do things above and beyond and what you normally don't expect.
Lloyd. He treats Lloyd so bad, but he fucking loves Lloyd.
Yeah.
I forgot about Lloyd's character.
Right?
But like it's also
so good.
the name Entourage. It's a great all around cast too. Turtle, the other guy that I never remember, Vince.
Oh, Johnny Drama, get out of here! Johnny Drama, that's Kevin Dillon.
Yeah, Kevin Dillon, amazing. Entourage is
The
the
ugly
first
Dillon's
show.
brother.
Entourage, I think, is the first show that I binged because there wasn't a streaming service when I discovered Entourage, but I discovered it like a few seasons in.
You just-
So I went and got the box, the DVD box sets of past seasons, and just sat there and fucking binged. Me and my buddy binged the shit out of Entourage, and just that opening sound, like
Yeah, the car
and the
and
song.
everything,
I'm
yeah.
like, it got me so excited. Very rarely until Game of Thrones, that opening scene with the music, I've never been so excited an opening soundtrack to a show as I am with Entourage.
Yeah, it brings you up. It gets you into the game, right?
Yeah.
It jazzes you up. I totally get
Can
that.
I ask you guys a question?
Yeah.
Is it's Kevin Dillon?
Yes.
Kevin Dillon.
Now, is the ratio of ugliness from Matt Dillon to Kevin Dillon greater or lesser than the ratio of Ron Howard to his brother or Chad Lowe to Rob Lowe? Go.
I think Chad Lowe is still a decent-looking human, but I think the other two brothers are,
But Rob Lowe is like an Adonis.
Oh, well, yeah.
The guy's the guy's like 60, and
He's
still,
getting better
like,
with age.
He
is.
He literally does.
I watch a lot of Nevada 911.
And I can't remember Ron Howard's brother's name, but he's
Clint Howard. It's Clint or Cliff Howard. I can't remember. I think it's Clint Howard.
Clint. Totally, you're right. That's a point.
Anyways, I honestly think that's my favorite all-around HBO show.
You know what? It speaks to young guys all over the world. I think the dream of like having a bunch of your buddies with some money and heading off to LA and doing your thing like that's the dream.
Well,
right?
isn't
Like
it
if I
based
could take
on-
you four guys with me and
It's based on Mark Wahlberg's life.
Yeah.
It's loosely based on his life.
but it
And you think at the time that it came out, how many big, if we went through the cameos on it, like the personalities that cameoed on it,
Yeah.
fucking extraordinary.
Peyton Manning did an episode, I think.
Oh God, there was we talked about James Cameron.
Yeah,
But then there
yes.
was also like Mark Cuban was on it.
Yes.
Mandy Moore played a huge role in it.
Eric Roberts was probably the best camp. Got a Joshua tree in the fucking RV,
Yeah,
and then
that's
yeah,
Right, like
you know.
so many people wanted to play themselves on it, like at a Hollywood party. It was just
Eric Roberts
it was
completely
super
played
cool.
himself.
Yeah. I always just saw them as like they were just using them as fodder. Like you just so you know we're in Beverly Hills. This is Mark Cuban's here.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. Like they just wanted to play themselves because it was so culturally woven into
I
the-
bet you all of their people, like everybody wanted a cameo on Entourage when it was
Do you think
happening.
Mark Cuban, you'd more likely see him in LA or in Dallas?
LA, but the Dallas thing is also plausible. Probably has a home in Dallas.
Well, he owns the Mavericks.
Is he Corbin Dallas?
I would have said you probably see Mark Cuban in Vegas more often than.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I would have said on the Shark
amazing.
Tank.
And then how meta is the fact that they joke about Aquaman as a movie and then it actually became a movie?
I wanted to see the Kevin Smith version that they were joking about on the show.
I always
Kevin Smith,
Yeah. Shit.
all the big
yeah.
actors. The episode with Seth Green meeting E was fucking amazing. How
Oh, that was hilarious. He's such a dick in that too.
yeah, Seth Green is such an asshole in it, but it's so good.
I always hoped that they would have made a short of Medellin and put it in the movie just to see how bad it was, right? Like, because that was part of the story. It was like the most expensively, horribly shot movie that they could do.
I also had a massive crush on Sloane.
Oh,
She was Emmanuel Shariqui, so hot. I love her.
she was in the first Waiting. Actually, she's the bartender.
Yep.
My other
There's a second waiting.
there is a second Waiting. Yeah, it's nowhere near as good.
You
as the
should
first.
not have ever
Ari-
seen it.
Ari's wife banging Bobby Flay.
Yes.
Like there are so many good. Like you don't even realize all the great cameos.
Ballers is mine, which is very
Similar to Entourage.
It has a similar kind of.
It's
Rob
practically-
Corddry's so good in it.
Rob Court, but there's something about that. I don't know. It's Mark Wahlberg's production company as well too, but there's that half hour 40 mark of like enough drama that it's not a comedy, but enough comedy that it's not too dramatic. Like
Yeah.
like you cared for Vince.
I like the
and-
intro of it too.
right? Like who was that singing in the?
I don't know, but I
It's
just
a
like
great fucking like because it's clips of football and everything, but
it.
it's
And
the-
Mr. Washington's in that
but
show.
okay, so
He has the dopest beard.
but here's the thing. That's The Rock's time while he was a footballer, while he was playing for Miami, while he was playing for Calgary. So they're taking Mark Wahlberg's life and putting it in Entourage. Then they took The Rock's life and wrote that into Ballers. Like the stuff that HBO allows.
But made him an NFL star as opposed to WWE.
You see, yeah, sure. But they just HBO lets people make some really great shit.
Well, the thing I love about HBO too is they're willing to take a chance on a TV show for a couple of seasons and let people fall in love with it. Case in point, Trem which was okay, but somehow they still had, like, 4 seasons of that show.
Right?
Right? Any other network would have probably given up on it after the first season.
There's a show called what's the name?
Baller's really great. Martin, what's yours?
Yeah, I'm gonna look mine up, Martin. Go.
I gotta go with Barry.
Oh,
Barry.
Barry's probably my favorite 30 minutes, and it's just the story is so weird and different that you don't expect it. So, for those of you who haven't seen it, a guy who's a hitman goes to LA to fulfill a contract, but while he's there, ends up falling in love with acting and wants to quit being a hitman to become an actor.
I
love
love
it
it. The acting.
Awesome. It's Bill Hader. Bill Hader is a hitman, which I don't see him as a hitman, but he plays it really well in the show. Like and the character.
Doesn't it have a 100 score on Rotten Tomatoes too? The show.
I think so. It's great. And like Henry Winkler is in it, the Fonz, how do you not love Henry Winkler? But also too, one of those shows where I love it because of the characters, and the characters are all pieces of shit, but you realize, they're human. They're all human. They all got their shit that they're going through, and I can't hate them.
A common theme with you, Martin.
I love it.
Shows where people are pieces of shit, but you understand it's because they're human. I like it.
I one episode of Barry, and it's this thing. I don't know if you guys ever get this though. You see something, you're like, oh my god, I know this is going to be so good.
Yep.
You're scared to go back and watch it. Like
Good, man.
I thought I was the only one.
That's the way I feel about The Wire, sort of. Like, I want everything to be perfect because I know it's going to be good, and it's just never perfect enough for me to hit play on it. And then I choose something that I know is shittier because I'm not in the focus.
Is it because
mind,
you're worried
right?
you're going to get distracted partway through?
Because I'm like,
You gotta
no,
turn your
I
phone
can't
off.
focus. I can't focus. So I'm going to watch a shitty show
Gotta
now
gotta
that I
turn
don't
the
have to
phone
pay
off.
attention to.
It's like when you go to the theater. I always turn my phone off now when I go to the theater because I want to know that it's off so I don't touch it.
I don't want to break. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it.
Go on. Sorry, Mike, I interrupted you.
No.
But I know Barry's going to be fucking awesome. I saw like half of one episode, and I'm fuck, this is great.
I've actually only seen the first.
Stephen Root as well. Great in it. I love Stephen Root. Like I've loved him since he was in Office Space. Like
Stapler. My red fucking stapler.
that's great.
Oh, is he in it? Oh,
Yeah,
he's
in it.
amazing.
He plays
Yeah, man.
boss and partner
Oh, weird.
who's like keep killing people so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can get
that's right.
paid. Who's the alopecia guy, the bald guy?
No Hank. I can't remember what his name is, but his character name is No Hank in the show. It's awesome.
Oh God, he's
Okay, I'm gonna
Who
go.
is he?
I'm
Bowie.
gonna go binge the shit out of Barry.
Bowie.
Can I give you guys mine?
What's his character's name?
Before we
No Hank.
No Hank.
No Hank. That's a good name. That's the stapler guy.
Nope.
Oh no, that's Stephen Root's character.
Stephen Root's character is the stapler guy. Anthony Kerrigan plays NoHo Hank.
Oh, he played Victor
Oh, yeah.
Zsasz in Gotham.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He was good.
I was just gonna say that with Barry is that it's a dramedy. It's a dark comedy. Like there's like this really traumatic event that happens in his life, and as an acting coach, Henry Winkler's like, take that event and harness it, and he like comes in and nails this scene. But like, didn't he just like kill somebody before it happened, and like he used the killing of a person to act out a scene because it's still so fresh in him? Like, it's this really.
That's what I do.
dark-
I usually go.
That's how you go?
Well, that's what good actors do. They go murder puppies and then they go on the scene.
yeah,
Everybody
because
knows
you
that.
got to get in character.
If you had to pick an acting coach, Henry Winkler or Carl Weathers?
Nicholas Cage.
Oh,
Oh, that's a hot.
oh.
All in
I
the.
love Carl Weathers though, man.
My answer
Carl
is all
Weathers.
in the hips.
It's Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers. Dude, you know I love me some Apollo Creed, man. Come on now.
Just before we leave this here, what was your other show, Rob?
Silicon Valley.
Oh,
there.
Also great. Also great.
so good. T.J. Miller, Thomas Middleditch, fucking
There is.
Camille Nanjiani,
I think it's.
Ben Schwartz. Ben Schwartz.
Ben Schwartz.
I think it's because I've been like into computers and I've sold electronics my entire adult life, and there isn't a show where I have laughed that hard out loud, even if I'm by myself. Because you know when you watch like a comedy with like your buddies, it's like 3 times more funny. But occasionally there's a show that you watch that even by yourself you burst out laughing with no one else there.
That's
Silicon Valley is that. Like
I know.
when he hacks the fucking smart fridge.
Yes.
Like it's just
Those two characters,
Oh.
Camille Nanjiani's character and the fucking Satanist guy.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Their interactions in that whole series are just amazing.
because they're the best friends ever, but they fucking hate each other.
When Satanist dude convinces Nanjiani that his girlfriend's into him.
Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
he's
Yeah.
and it goes horribly wrong.
Yeah.
But I think the one we all love the most, or at least I know me and Mark do, is when they're at what's the convention that they go to?
Oh, the tech convention.
Convention.
Uh,
It's a real-
Disrupt.
Disrupt. Yeah,
Disrupt, yeah,
Tech
yeah.
Disrupt. And
TechCrunch.
TechCrunch. Thank you. And they have to figure out how to win because they know that their app is fucked. So then they
They
go,
have hand jobs.
but they go, the only way we're gonna win is if we jerk off every guy in the room. And then all 5 geeks are like, well, the only way we could get that done. And then it's this whole scene of mathematically jerking off an auditorium, and it is comedy fucking gold.
That's one of the best scenes in that
You have
series.
to be jerking off 4 guys at once. So one on the back straight, then you'd have to adjust for height.
Yeah.
So they'd match.
And if you put them tip to tip and you pull back and forth to get maximum stroke, so there's no break. Like,
And they're figuring it out in like 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
and shit,
That was for
and
the
like, yeah.
compression, right? That's what they described. The compression.
Robin or
Yeah,
Robin
of
Hood
Pied
or
Piper.
Pied Piper. That's it.
Yeah.
No, and like,
So good.
And all the characters that pop in, right? Like whether it's his lawyer or whether it's
The crazy billionaire
the
dude.
he's so funny. He's like I'm not worth 11 digits.
Oh, I'm the
I'm not a 10 billionaire.
no, the three comma club.
Yeah,
Isn't that what
that's right.
when their helper ends up on that guy's fucking like island in the middle of nowhere, stuck in the car.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like the automated AI took him all the way
Oh,
out
yeah.
to an island. He's
That's
building
right.
in the middle of the ocean. He's stuck with all these robotic
He's
forklifts.
so good.
He's probably easily one of the
That
most
character is
underrated
hilarious.
characters.
He's really good
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
everything he's in too.
Because he plays the straight character so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays it serious in comedy. You win every fucking time. Oh, and they just what is this? What is the secret sauce with these guys? Like, is
I
it
don't
is
know.
the fact that they know talent? Because it's attached to Warner Brothers. So having come out of Wonder Woman '84 and being so disappointed with a Warner Brothers decision, how is it that they're
think-
given so much free reign over at HBO to make these great fucking shows?
I think it's I don't know what it is, but I think it was also it's the magic of that cast. That whole cast
That's true. Yeah,
just gels in a way.
there's
even,
a lot of
even
improv
though
on
what's
that
his face
cast
is like an
and-
alleged rapist now or something. It's-
Yeah, I mean, you
TJ
can like
Miller.
the character, don't like the human.
How good was the guy from who's the guy that lived at TJ Miller's incubator? The
Oh, the little
Chinese guy
The Chinese
that-
guy, yeah.
Oh,
I'm brain farting.
brain finding what his name is too.
he just fucked him over like repeatedly so many times in that show.
And then he goes back to China and he basically is doing like the fucking ripoff of their compression.
Pied Piper.
The phones, doesn't he, or whatever?
Yeah.
Jimmy O Yang.
Jin
Jin
Yang.
Yang.
Jin Yang. Fuck
Jin
you.
Yang.
Yang. Fuck you. Puts the mime on the fucking smart fridge.
Oh my God, was he good? And who's the loser who invented Pied Piper with them that goes and works for?
Oh, big head. Big head. And they give him like that super crazy well-paid job at
Hooli.
at Hooli, and then
He just does nothing.
He,
He
like-
just sits on the roof and drinks.
Okay,
slushies.
it's the best comedy that was on
It's-
HBO.
I think
I
agree.
I think for guys like us definitely because
Yeah.
it's just so nerdy tech.
Veep was awesome too.
Deep's very
Yeah.
very funny too.
Yeah.
And they followed each other, so it was like a double header.
Yeah, the other one I really love is I love Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Curb is so funny.
One of my favorite experiences with Curb Your Enthusiasm is watching it on an Air Canada flight, and I got my noise canceling headphones on, and I'm laughing out loud, and people are staring at me, and I don't give 2 fucks.
I just started like it's weird because I'm a huge Seinfeld fan, but I just started watching Curb just like maybe a couple months ago.
Wow.
From like season 1 onwards, and I knew the show was for me. Episode 1, when the opening joke is a boner joke, and I'm just like, God, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be a great series.
So funny.
But
The
I mean,
last season has some fucking gooders.
But he's George though. He just wrote Larry David into George's character. Like if you watch Curb, it's just
Except
George.
for he's not a loser like George.
He's not exactly. He's a successful.
He's
asshole.
cynical. He's a cynical asshole. Like there's
He has the same. Is it neuroses?
he puts a mega hat on just so that people won't talk to him
Yes.
at restaurants and stuff, or like it's like
But like George would come up with an idea like that. It's just
Totally.
he can pull it off.
Well, he has the same. Is it neuroses? Is that the word? He has the same neuroses that George Costanza does. Everything that George worries about, Larry David also worries about, but to
Yeah. And
a
that's
different level.
I could see Larry David and Seinfeld writing those episodes and coming up, when they were writing Seinfeld.
The show that it's so I'm just gonna mention it because
Veep is really good. Louis Dreyfus,
Oh,
little
he's
Seinfeld,
so
little
good.
Seinfeld tie in there too.
The ensemble cast in that is so fucking funny. Like there's so many funny characters that play on that.
Oh yeah. What's her what's the guy from Arrested Development that's in Veep that pays her assistant who's like always carrying her bag around and like
yeah,
I can't remember.
he's so fucking
His
good.
character's so
He's
good.
so good.
Somebody
in
get
it.
a point. Come on.
What's his character's name in Arrested Development?
That's
Come up
and
with that.
Roo. No, Rufus.
Gets his arm bitten off by the dolphin.
Yeah.
And he has sex with Liza Minnelli.
Liza Minnelli's his wife.
That's right.
What? They get married.
That's right. They get married.
Buster.
Buster. There it is.
yeah.
Mark gets a point.
He's so good in that. There's the tall fucking goofy guy that ends up running later on. I don't even know all the characters' names. If you watch it, there's the fucking black dude that comes in later on that's like the deadpan face, but he's so fucking funny. He's like in the last season of Veep. I don't know if you watched it.
Oh,
but
he's in.
he becomes like the mayor of. He becomes the mayor of that one town and just hangs out. He kills the horse and he takes over. It's so
Isn't
funny.
he in Tomorrow War?
Yes, he is.
Yeah,
he's
the guy,
in Tomorrow War.
He's the guy who's
He's so good.
Sam
Yeah.
Richardson.
Oh, he's so funny.
Betting.
They're all good.
Is that him?
Yes.
Okay.
So funny.
Not it. Like everything even if I try something on HBO and I'm like, yeah, I don't like it. I could see it being good. It's just not for me, right? Like it's going to be long. It's going to take a minute to get into it. But just for another character-driven show before we get to somewhat of a vote here, it was In Treatment that I was talking about.
Oh, with
that one.
Gabriel Byrne?
Gabriel Byrne.
Yeah.
So
I never watched that show.
28, 34 episodes a season. It's
Jesus, how many seasons?
I know. 5, 4.
Oh my gosh.
So first episode is Monday with Gabriel Byrne, who's a therapist. So you get Judy on Monday. I don't know her name. Tuesday, you get Sam and Rachel. Wednesday, you get Joe. Thursday, you get a 16-year-old kid. Friday, Gabriel Byrne therapists goes to see his therapist to bitch about his patients. But what you get is every Monday like when the show aired, every Monday was the same two people. Every Tuesday was the same two people. So if you were to start the show on a Monday and then follow it through for a whole week and go to the next Monday, you'd be back in session with the first girl.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a drama. It's really slow, but it's a great lesson in writing a character and getting to know somebody.
Is it slow? Is it good character development like Succession?
No, Succession has action points. All you are is this is a one-shot show. You're in a therapist's office, so you don't.
I don't know if
get-
I'd be into that.
It's all about the story.
Is it very?
all
It's very dialogue driven.
It's very dialogue driven. Very dialogue driven. There's
So Succession though.
so Succession, but you've got a story, and you've also got Adam McKay doing Succession, like the Will Ferrell Adam McKay
Yeah.
comedy duo, where they're like, let's make a drama, but we'll write it, and everything just works with Succession. Fuck, Succession is good.
So is True Blood.
I started watching True Blood. Did you watch True Blood, Martin?
You know what, the later seasons I wasn't a huge fan of. But like the first few were amazing. Like it was like I liked it too because this came out after Twilight, and I'm like, okay, this is what vampires should be, right?
Totally. It was gory. It was in your face. It was
Did anybody watch 6 Feet Under?
I did.
There was
I never did.
Yeah, it
fucking
was good.
Dexter before he was Dexter.
Yeah.
Martin, did you say you did?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. Please do it. Please do it. If you were taken on a journey in Leftovers, the story in 6 Feet Under, it's an LA funeral. It's a LA funeral
It's
home.
heavy. The show's
How
heavy.
many seasons?
6.
Is it 6?
Yeah. It's
Was it 10 per or 13?
10 or 13. So it starts around the 13 mark, and then I think they start to trim it a little bit. But it's about a family in an LA funeral home, and the father dies.
The oldest son moves home.
Exactly. It's a tale of a family getting through a death.
Maybe I'll watch episode 1 after this show.
But here's the cool thing: each episode, it starts with a death, like some sort of weird traumatic death.
Oh.
Death is then the body that the funeral home has to take care of, and then their story kind of kicks into it. But Yeah, no, Mark, that's a good point.
It was very good.
Like, very melancholy, very not depressing, like not Requiem for a Dream depressing, but like not uplifting.
But they tackle some, like, for its time when it was out,
yeah, it was very progressive.
right? Like interracial homosexual relationship.
Very
Like,
much so.
where else do you see stuff like that?
With children, mind
Yeah,
you,
right?
Yeah, adopted children in an interracial homosexual relationship
At that era, right?
mid 2000s,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, where that wouldn't. There's no way that would be on network TV ever.
No, unfortunately not. But good on you, HBO, for doing that. Anything else before we kind of wrap it up? Was there anything else that we kind of wanted to poke 2 cents at, or I mean, I'm sure we could.
Samantha. No, I was kidding.
Okay, all right. In honor of because,
Mike, you're so Charlotte.
yeah. Hang on. I was trying to do it where I didn't end up.
I hate to admit it, but I've seen Sex in the City.
I'm not a fucking smart lawyer. I'm Charlotte, man. I'm up in the clouds. I'm flighty as shit. No,
I'm the Kim Cattrall. I think that goes without saying.
Are you that slutty?
I'm a little bit slutty and wild.
said by everybody who's slutty and wild. Well, gentlemen, let's top this off with, let's figure out, can we organize our top 4 in order here, or do we just want to leave them? Like, I mean, Mark hasn't seen everything, so it's kind of hard to.
Yeah, I think we can't really do that if Mark hasn't seen it. So I mean,
The one we didn't talk about, it might be the best drama of Sopranos.
Yep.
Right? May be the all-time king, but we didn't talk about it because it's too obvious.
We kind of excluded it because
Yeah.
it was.
yeah, it's too obvious.
That's really the show that made HBO what it is today.
Yeah.
And it really solidified it and that was the monumental move
That's
where
the
it went
switch,
from
yeah.
boxing, some made-for-TV movies, and stand-up comedy to powerhouse golden age of TV.
I completely agree. That's the transition period. That's like, hey, we're over here. We're making good shit.
Yeah.
And I think everybody. Like,
Didn't the creators, one of the creators of Sopranos, isn't he the one that created Mad Men
Yes.
and Breaking Bad?
they're all related.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a relation there somehow. I think
No,
giving.
it was Mad Men, and then HBO passed on Mad Men, and AMC was like, "We're gonna take that," and then AMC became more than just showing reruns of old movies from the '80s.
That's exactly the way it went. I just think it was the first time somebody gave a crime boss a personality
Totally.
and depth, right? Like it
And
wasn't.
the fact that he was seeing a shrink, and like
Yeah.
that was like him exposing his.
Well, not personality, but they made him human, which is the thing. And like, he would go do these, like he would kill somebody, and then all of a sudden, I'm gonna have dinner with my family and talk about my day. And I'm like, wait a minute, like, how does that even fit in the same scene?
so
You know?
But yeah, no, you're right, Mark. Like it, I think it is the golden.
Yeah.
And it gave a whole bunch of guys that were like, secondary actors in Goodfellas a second lease on their act.
Michael Imperioli was Spider.
He was good.
Love him. He's great.
I love when him and what's his face go into the woods. They get lost.
The Pine Barrens. That's the best episode. I think that's the best episode there is.
That one, and
So funny.
I love the geese. The running joke with the geese and
Yeah.
Tony, and he hopes they come back. And it and like, okay, hang on. Let's end this right. If we fade to black, did we fade to black just like Tony? Did Tony die, Mark?
I don't know.
You think Tony?
Who came into the diner?
Well, as I remember the scene, he went to the washroom, sat down at the table. Then a guy came in, sat down, looked over his shoulder, went to the washroom, came back, fade to black. So I assumed that they whacked Tony, but the fucking rule is you never whack him when the family's around.
Yeah.
Here, let's throw something else out. His health had always been an issue. Maybe at that exact moment, that's when he died. He just died.
Had a heart attack.
Heart attack,
I
had
like
a
that.
stroke, had an aneurysm. Who knows?
I don't like Tony being gunned down in front of his family.
I don't think he was.
Yeah.
I think something else happened, and that was just the coincidence of the situation, or it was the stressfulness of him worrying about getting whacked that actually caused it all to occur in front of his family.
But talk about a way to end something you didn't know how to end. Like Game of Thrones could have fucking or something.
Well, it's like,
take a fucking lesson out of that book.
do we have a precedence to live up to? Perhaps, because HBO has done such a good job with all these other shows.
If you don't know how you're going to end, then give us something that we can like talk about,
Totally.
right? Like, is there anything in Game of Thrones like, oh, where did Drago take fucking Daenerys? Like, is that there's no
Yeah, Cersei died under the castle.
yeah? And
That was one of the most unsatisfied deaths ever.
Bran
Yeah.
gets
Like-
the throne? Are you kidding me? Nobody gives a shit about Bran.
You know what my favorite part of the whole end was though is that I found out that Hodar stood for hold the door.
Hold the door.
Mind blown.
Yeah, I was like, oh,
Anyways.
that makes sense.
Sorry, I just want to say, I waited 7 seasons for Cersei Lannister to get hit by a rock. Like, that's how she dies. Come on.
You waited 7 seasons to learn that Hodar stands for.
How
hold the
long
door.
did we
That's
wait
what
for
it's all
Jamie
about.
to actually like make his character development and do the right thing, and then he doesn't?
Right?
Do you think Jamie tried to
that was
jerk
a
off
bigger-
with his golden hand?
Right?
Yeah, of course. he
I
did.
would.
Okay.
I would too, Martin.
In the end, I thought he was going to kill Cersei.
Yeah. He bitched out. No, I
don't
was-
think he would ever kill his sister though.
Yeah.
The connection as being twins is too strong.
I
Yeah,
mean,
that was the whole lesson that Aemon Targaryen gives you. Like, you never fall in love because the power of love is the killer of duty and honor, and duty and honor dictates that you have to kill your sister because she's destroying the realm. But he loved her so much that he couldn't do it, so he had his blinders on.
And yet Jon was able to kill Daenerys.
Was she a crazy bitch? She
But
went.
John was always on board with duty and honor, even with Ygritte. Like, no matter what, he was always on board. And I can't remember. I think he's the one who kills her in the book. Like, in the book, he legit shoots an arrow through her. It's not another dude in the book. She dies by his hands, isn't it?
No, she dies. No, she gets shot with an arrow and she dies in his hands, just like in the. I'm pretty.
But I
sure.
thought the arrow was the one. He was the one who shot her. I can't remember. I thought it was him who shot her.
Well, put it in the comic sections if you remember better what happens in the book.
yeah, no, I was just going to
If
say.
you're still with us after all of this,
yeah, if you are,
let's vote.
yeah.
Yeah, let's vote.
So, number 1, Martin, what's your pick?
Sure, I gotta go with The Wire, just because The Wire is such a like. If we're doing the drama, The Wire. I mean, it's The Wire.
No, out of our pick, I mean, like Rob said, this isn't top to bottom list of HBO. This is just our top 4.
Yeah.
Mark,
I haven't seen The Wire, and I'm going to pick The Wire.
I like that. You know,
Just from what I know of pop culture and the
Mhm.
references and the actors and the lore, Wire.
Rob.
Is it tacky if I choose my own?
Nope.
No, it's not.
Oh,
Didn't have that in this.
You
like,
know-
it's just
Like Westworld is very good. The Leftovers is very, very good. But I think to Mark's point, it doesn't have this. It's not synonymous in culture as being this show that is a linchpin to not only the network that created it, but also to the entire genre.
Yeah.
But honestly, there is something to be said about Game of Thrones. And, aside from like the last 3 seasons going downhill, us having all those issues with the final season, being mad at George R. Martin, the thing that I love so much about Game of Thrones is that it has created the second golden age of television.
Yep.
In that TV now is almost eclipsing movies
Yeah.
in budget and scale and scope, and it's actually taking some of these novels that I read in my teens and my 20s and actually bringing them to fruition. And I'm like a giddy kid in a candy store, but I still have to choose a Wire.
Like, do you think without Game of Thrones that Disney Plus would have gone as full bore into their series as they did?
I think
Nope,
I think
not at
to a degree, but not to the full on. Neither would also Wheel of Time wouldn't have been made. This new Lord of the Rings series wouldn't have come to fruition.
I don't think
Thrones,
Mandalorian would have been made.
no.
I think Game of Thrones
Yeah.
really opened the door to big budget
TV,
series. Yeah.
and that money could be made off of it.
Yeah.
Because prior to that, the biggest show would have maybe been something like Lost.
yeah. No, it would have been network. It wouldn't have been cable for sure. I Wire 2.
How
I'm
many
not even
people
gonna contest
bought
it.
HBO every year just for the HBO when the run of Game of Thrones was on?
And
I
then-
did.
Yeah, and
So many.
Yeah.
I think their viewership doubled during that time period. Don't
and it's
quote
the
me on
most.
that, but
it was the most downloaded TV show every year it was on. Like
Mhm.
it whenever the
and
torrent
its
wars were talking about
DVD
it.
sales were unprecedented when DVD sales were on a decline.
Yeah.
I got HBO just so I could watch it live because waiting a couple hours to download it, I would get it. Like, I couldn't wait
Yeah,
those
it hurts
extra
in
couple hours.
it hurts in the dick. I totally
Yeah.
get it. Yeah, I wouldn't want to wait either. No, I fuck like
And as social media has become more what it is, you're like, no.
Yeah, you can't not know what happens.
embargo, 48-hour embargo, or don't go online. Yeah. Okay. So number 1, The
And I'd
Wire.
still argue you can watch Wire's but Game of Thrones you can rewatch over and over again. The first
can.
few seasons.
It's got staying power.
I'd say The Wire is rewatchable, but maybe not re-bingeable because I think it's so intense. you could watch like a half a season or a season, and then you almost need a little bit of a break before you watch the next one.
You do,
Whereas
yeah.
Game of Thrones, I could think you could go back to back to back on like a crystal meth binge and like just like plow through 4 seasons.
I went through like
Whoa,
3
I got
seasons.
no reaction to that. Okay.
I went through 3 seasons in a week because we were snowed in.
I just agree with you.
I got snowed in a fucking snowstorm and did 3 seasons of Game of Thrones.
Wow.
Yeah, I rewatched it recently. Like from up, I didn't watch 6 and 7, but I rewatched everything up to like season
Can I be honest
end of
with you?
season 5.
I wish I had the time to do that.
I just background it, man. Like when I'm cleaning the house, it's on. Like it's just one of those shows where I'm like, I can't think of
I
something.
listen to
Game of Thrones.
podcasts when I'm cleaning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I.
Okay.
All right.
1,
Wire.
The Wire. 2, I will go next. I'm gonna vote. Leftovers. Westworld.
Choose.
It's Westworld. I know it's tacky to pick your own, but we didn't make that rule this week. Only because it's so fucking. It's talking about a thing right now that
No
like
way he picked Westworld over Game of Thrones.
I think you could choose Westworld as your second pick in 3 more years once we have a couple more seasons.
Yeah.
Oh yeah! Don't tell me what I can't do with my pick.
Because unlike
How
all
dare you?
unlike all these other series, Westworld is still mid-series.
It is,
potentially.
yeah.
That's true.
To
You don't have a finished product yet.
It could go to total shit. What
Gentlemen?
if the next 3 seasons are so bad you hate yourself?
Gentlemen, remove your dicks from my ass. I agree with you.
So we can all agree: The Wire, Game of Thrones,
Yes.
Leftovers, Westworld.
Yep. Yeah, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Took us an hour and a half to get here, but
2.5 hours.
2.5. Yeah, well, it felt like an hour and a half. It was so much fun. I like that. That's a great list. All right, cool, awesome.
But watch Westworld because it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, watch it. Like, if you're
Don't
gonna,
listen to me though because I haven't seen the whole thing.
Watch any of the shows; they're all really good that we recommended today.
HBO better than any other service, consistently great product, and not. They didn't make shows that we wanted. They gave us shows, and then we fell in love with them.
They gave us shows we needed, after
Right?
we
Because
saw
you didn't know that you fucking wanted to watch fucking Game of Thrones.
them. No.
Oh, I did. I did for sure.
Yeah, you're the fantasy guys, right? But I mean, there's so many shows that you're like out of nowhere you didn't think you wanted, and then you're pleasantly surprised.
I agree.
I concur, Doctor. Well, ladies and
More
gentlemen,
shows, HBO.
Do you concur, Doctor?
I concur, Doctor. Catch me if you can. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been another Real Debaters production. We could go down a rabbit hole for you with more HBO stuff, which we'll probably do another follow-up to this and figure out something for Netflix and something for Prime. Again, we were stretching our legs with this one. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find more out, if you want to find more about us, head to thereeldebaters.ca. That's where you can subscribe only right now. We still have yet to have a fun website, but if you want to figure out where you can
Platformless.
yeah, well, not we have a place. It's just like subscribe, and that's it, and like one bar to put all of our names. But maybe that's what we need. But anyways, it's at thereeldebaters.ca. In the show notes, you can find out where you can subscribe to the show as well, or you can follow us on social media. Check us out on YouTube under Reel Debaters, spelling REEL for all of this shit. There's some web reviews there for you to laugh at. We took a break just for the summer, I think, with those. They'll be coming back up in the fall. If you want to buy our shit, the prop shop, what do they sell there, Rob?
Skateboards.
So many skateboards. What else do they sell there, Mark?
Great hoodies.
Yeah. Actually, the T-shirt that I put down on top of your chair there when you
Yeah.
first sat down, that's your second one that we got by accident. So now you have 2.
What?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Why did you get a second one?
I
by
didn't.
accident?
They sent the first batch and it got lost in
Oh, yeah.
transit, and then they sent us the second batch.
Oh.
That's your second shirt that you didn't pay for. It was just free.
Oh, well then.
So there you go.
If it's free, it's for me.
Yeah, well, it's 2XL. If, anyways, go to the prop shop. It's in the message. It's in the episode notes down there. Click on it. You can see all of our stuff, specifically skateboards. First person to send us an email that they proof that they bought a skateboard, we'll dedicate a show to you. We've been saying this for weeks. Somebody just buy a fucking skateboard. I don't even care if you send it back. It's not my website. If you want to follow us online at Reel Debaters, REEL for Instagram, Twitter, and the Reel Debaters on Facebook. That's that. Martin, let me know. I'll get back to you when this episode drops and we can put out whatever shows you're doing at that time so people can know where to find your funny ass on stage in Vancouver. I got nothing else for you. I've been Michael Petro.
I'm Rob Strachan.
Jamie Lannister.
I have been Sir Arthur Dane, the Sword of the Morning.
Watch all the movies, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for another week. Bye-bye.
Woo! Oh, should I watch 6 Feet Under or should I watch Formula One?
Formula One.
Ugh. Formula One. Okay, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. I gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta go too.
Good night.
Okay.